Hi everybody, and welcome back to week 2 of Persuasive and Opinion Writing. So I'm going to follow the same strategy of last week. I'm going to upload 5 videos just all at the same time, and you can follow along at your own pace if one day you just want to spend several hours working on your persuasive and opinion writing. So last week, a lot of what our focus was coming up with ideas. We were brainstorming. Every day your task was to spend at least 5 minutes coming up with ideas of things that you could write about, and then just practicing, just getting your thoughts out on the paper and seeing how persuasive writing feels for you. So this week we're going to be focusing on trying to pick the topic that we want to start publishing a draft for. So I'm going to recommend that for your drafts that you actually write them on paper instead of typing them. The reason is, or at the very least, that you make some mind maps or brainstorming on paper before you start typing. I think that's going to be pretty important for this process as we go. So I'm also going to continue with the same idea of, since the conversation piece of our writing is so important for us, I'm going to pause the video. I'll just say pause. That's your time to pause it. And then I'm going to keep going and you play it when you're ready. Remember, so much of our learning in writing and in literacy is when you're taking the time to thoughtfully answer those questions. I know we don't have a partner to talk to, most of us. Some of you may have brought in a sibling or a parent, or maybe you have someone on the phone and you're talking through this together and watching it together. That's totally fine, but even if you're by yourself, it's so important that you turn and talk to a stuffed animal or something, so that way you're still getting some of those key learning pieces. And I will read examples to answer of the questions, just in case it was one that you got stuck on and that you were thinking, oh, like maybe that's the thing that'll make it click for you. So I will be doing that. I'll also have examples of what your work should look like if it should be a list or a paragraph, things like that, in the weekly schedule that I sent out to your families on Sunday. So in that, there should be an example for each day for writing that should maybe explain your must do, whether it's brainstorm a list, write a paragraph, things like that. Okay, so we're going to get started. So the first thing to think about here is why we're even studying persuasive and opinion writing. Why is it important for a 4th or a 5th grader to learn how to express their opinion, even if it's something that people might not agree with? Why is that important? Go ahead and pause. Okay. So why is it important to express an opinion even though others might not agree with you? Some of the potential answers may have been, it's important to express your opinion so that people can learn to think for themselves. Or when we express our opinions, we can have interesting discussions. Maybe something about how every single person's opinion counts, or that we live in a free country. And here in the United States, people are allowed to express their opinions no matter what they are. Those are all right along the lines of why it's an important thing to be able to express something that you really believe in. So another kind of social piece to this is, what can you do when you're listening to other people's opinions that would make them feel safe and comfortable? So I want you to think about that, because you're bound to have some sort of disagreement or difference of opinions with someone at some point in life. So how can you make sure that people feel safe sharing their opinion around you, especially if we're in our classroom situation? Go ahead and pause. Some of those potential answers may have been, when you're listening to someone else, you might be able to see something from that person's point of view, or maybe you just want to be listening and respectful even if you don't agree. Or maybe you can use our discussion prompts that we have posted in our classroom that say things like, I disagree with so-and-so because. Maybe you want to be able to listen and express yourself and have a meaningful conversation with people. It's also important to realize that sometimes you're going to hear an argument that will make you maybe change your opinion, or it might make you question your own opinion. And that's super important, especially as you're growing up and going into middle school, high school, and even in your adult life. It's important to consider all sides of an argument. And by an argument, I don't mean people yelling at each other. I just mean a way that people are expressing themselves and stating their opinion. So I'm going to read to you today a piece called Bike Helmets, and it's an opinion piece, okay? So I have this attached on your parents' email if they wanted to print this out, or if you want to go ahead and pull it up side by side so you can listen to my video and pull up the piece. It is called Bike Helmets. So you can go ahead and pause me if you need to get that ready. What do you think when you see a kid riding a bike without a helmet? Well, I think riding without a helmet is dangerous, and people should wear a helmet every time they ride a bike. First of all, it's the law. In many towns and cities, kids and teens have to wear a bike helmet every time they ride a bike. If they do not, they will be stopped by the police and their parents will be called. So, if you don't want to be stopped by police, wear your helmet. When you're riding your bike on the street, you could get hit by a car. Cars go very fast, and when drivers pull out of parking spots and driveways, they might not see you riding your bike. If a car hits you, your head could hit the ground. If you are wearing a helmet, your head will be protected and the helmet will save your life. Because helmets can prevent serious head injuries, parents and older kids should set a good example by wearing bicycle helmets when they ride too. I know teens might not like the idea, but if everyone or almost everyone wears a helmet, kids won't think it's strange. A bicycle helmet protects your head and could save your life if you fall off your bike. Also, it's the law for kids to wear helmets, and you don't want to break the law. So please wear your helmet every time you ride. Now, we have some thinking to do. My first question for you is, who is the author trying to convince in this essay? Go ahead and pause. Some potential answers could be that the author was trying to persuade kids to wear helmets, or maybe it was trying to persuade adults or parents of children or babysitters, people who work with kids, to try to set that example and talk to their kids about why it's important. So I think the audience in this situation is probably the same as who they're trying to convince, although they could be also aiming this at people who agree with them, just to have a piece of writing that people agree with. Now, what are some of the reasons that the author gave to support their opinion? So this is when you might pull up the article and really look through and say, what were their reasons? So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I have my article right here. I'm going to look through and I'm going to be skimming, right? Reading kind of quickly. And I'm trying to think of the reasons. Oh, it says, first of all, it's the law. So reason one, it's the law. You have to wear a helmet. And I noticed that this person, as I'm looking through, their writing is sectioned off into paragraphs. So they have an introduction, paragraph 1, 2, 3, and a conclusion. So it looks like each paragraph has its own reason. So one was that it's the law. The second is that your helmet would protect you if you got hit by a car. And the third is that helmets can prevent serious head injuries. So that to me those are the three reasons that I found. And I want to know, so this is, well, I guess I can't really know unless you comment or if you share your document with me, but do you agree or do you disagree with this opinion, and why? So this answer should be, I agree with the opinion that bike helmets should be worn because, or I disagree with the opinion that bike helmets should be worn because. Go ahead and pause. Okay. So now is your time to start thinking about which one of your pieces you really want to write about. So I want you to pull out your lists from last week, and maybe you've already given this some thought. I want you to think about which one of those pieces you want to start developing into a full essay that you're going to work on for this week and next as well. So remember, you want it to be something that you feel strongly enough to write a persuasive piece about. And maybe considering your audience too, right? So you might not be writing it just to other kids. You might be writing it to the government. You might be writing this with parents as an audience. It could very well be your classmates. It could be me if you're trying to convince me or persuade me to do something. So that is your job. Let's see. Today, what you are going to do is pick a piece. That's your only assignment. But I do want you to write a clear statement of your piece. So if you were to write something like bike helmets, for example, what you would be writing down is, in my opinion, bike helmets should be worn by all kids. So you want it to be stated very clearly, and that's all you need to do today for day 1 of writing. All right? See you later.